Good afternoon, folks. This is Detroit Damon back in the house. Today we're going to talk about the Detroit Lions draft. We're not going to do a whole 7-round draft, but what we're going to do is we're going to explore 10 potential players that the Detroit Lions could draft with pick number 1. You know, it's possible that they could put Hendon Hooker on the trade block for another pick, and therefore we might need another quarterback sometime in the draft. It's hard to say, so that's why I'm just going to go through these potentials of who we could draft, at least in the first round anyway. And if Hendon Hooker goes someplace else and plays, I'm happy for him because, you know, he's 26 years old and he needs to get out there and play and make some money. So good for him if we trade him to somewhere he can play. I think he looks like an excellent player. I wouldn't be surprised if New York tried to get him. To back up Justin Fields over with the Jets or something, or New York Giants even. So with that being said, we're going to start off with the draft. My potential round 1 pick, my first one, is the one that I think they're going to take. Just because in most mocks he sits there around 28 and he fits what we need. And he doesn't just fit what we need, he fits very well. So his name is Nick Scourton. He's a defensive end, Texas A&M. He is 6'4", 285 pounds, runs a 4.7 40. He's 20 years old. The pros for him is that he's got a devastating spin and he carries his weight well. Carries 285 pounds well. So he's got the weight of a boundary edge, which is good. But he's also got the athleticism. His first step is fast. He can convert speed to power, and he's got a crazy spin move. The cons are he's a little tight in the hips, so he's not like he won't be your typical get around the edge kind of edge rusher. He'd probably better for setting the boundary. But he does sometimes fail to maintain leverage against double teams. And so that's what we need him for, is to maintain that leverage if he's getting double teamed on that edge. Chances are double team's going to go Aiden Hutchinson's way, though, which makes room for him. But either way, that's where he struggles. So that's the first potential pick, I think, that we will take, and that's Nick Scourton out of Texas A&M. Fix this microphone. My second pick, option 2 in the first round, Michael Williams, defensive end out of Georgia. He is 6'5", 265 pounds, runs a 4.65 40, and is 20 years old. Now this guy, he was injured, and I think he didn't do the combine, so he did his pro day. So he didn't really see a lot of his, the running in the underwear Olympics, as they call it, because of that. So, but on tape, this guy is amazing. He's ranked in like the teens, maybe, so he might not be there for us, but he could be. If he is, that's what I want you to know about him. He is a physical specimen, scheme versatile. He has a nasty bull rush and a never-ending motor. The cons for him is that his get-off can be sometimes a little late, and sometimes he plays a little high because he's 6'5". Now, other than that, like if this guy fell to us at 28, like I'm sure they'll grab him up right away because he's almost like an outside linebacker / defensive end. And I've seen him drop off in zone coverage and cover people. So it's he's got some scheme versatility. He's got all the production that the Detroit Lions would need, and of course he may not be there. Another person that is in the teens sometimes, but sometimes is mocked in the 20s, is Mr. Scourton's running mate on the other side, number 4, Shemar Stewart, defensive end at Texas A&M. Now this guy, he's 6'6", 290 pounds, ran a 4.59 40, had like a 40-something inch vertical jump. He's 21 and a half years old. His broad jump was like 10-something. I mean, he's very explosive, very freakish athlete. He can convert speed to power. He's got great size. He's got great lateral agility, and he's scheme versatile as well. The problem with him is that he some reason had low sack numbers. I don't know if he had a lot of quarterback hurries, but he never got to the quarterback, and that's kind of a mystery. But in the end, we need someone who can set the boundary and then maybe go for the quarterback. We need someone who can stop the run and then get the quarterback. And so depending on how their defense philosophy goes, usually you just want to set your boundary, maintain your outside contain, and then crash in on the quarterback, make that pocket smaller. And so I think he can do that. We'll see what the Detroit thinks. I don't speak for them, but And one thing I want to preface to, not preface, but it's kind of in the middle of my spiel, but Detroit Lions have been working on getting players in every position so that they can draft the best player necessary. With that, the reason they do that is because, I mean, basically, like, you want to get, if you don't get a defensive end that you want, you got one. You got Marcus Davenport there. If he can stay healthy, we're okay. We're good. We're actually better than okay. We got DJ Reed at cornerback. If we don't get another cornerback anywhere else, we're good. We got a starting cornerback. He's a number 2 corner, so we kind of got 2 number 2s. But he can be the 1 to the 2, or he can be the 1 and they both be 1.5. So I think it's kind of the plan's gonna be. Plus you have Enos Rakestraw, you have Amik Robertson, you have other people. Linebacking core, we got Derrick Barnes back, but do we need another linebacker? Perhaps. Maybe one that's got a little bit more speed. Our fastest linebacker is probably Alex Anzalone, and he's probably close to 30. So can we get a speed linebacker? Perhaps. Safety, we lost Melon Fanwu. He was hurt a lot, but he was a tall safety, 6'3". We drafted him out of Syracuse back in the day. He was hurt the first couple of years, and now he's gone. So we could possibly use another safety, maybe like another box safety or something like that to go along with, Branch and Kirby Joseph. So on that note, option 4, pick number 28, Nick Emmanware, safety out of South Carolina. Now this guy is 6'3", 220, 4.33 40, 21 years old. He jumped out of the roof too. He had like a 43-inch vertical jump and like almost 11 something, like broad jump, something like that. I mean, this guy's like amazing for a safety. He's almost like a linebacker, and which could come in handy for us because in some of our packages we use our safety like a linebacker. We had Melon Fanwu playing in the box at times, and even in we went and got Jamal Adams, who's a safety, to kind of play linebacker for us when we were depleted, which was a good idea. It just didn't work out. So drafting a safety in the first round is not, I don't think it's above reproach. I don't think it's above being done just because the way you use it. And a safety with this size, he's got linebacker size. He probably could even be an excellent blitzer as well off the edge. So his pros are, of course, freaky size and speed, nasty striker, elite in run support, elite tackler, and exceptional ball skills. His cons are he sometimes get overly aggressive attacking downhill, and sometimes because he's kind of high cut, he has trouble staying with smaller receivers, and that's par for the course with a big, tall safety like this guy, So I mean, they're bringing in big safeties back. I miss those days when I was growing up with those big safeties that could tackle a fullback or or like an extra linebacker on the field. So he might be something we could use. Round 1, option number 5, James Pearce out of Tennessee. He is a 6'5", 245-pound defensive end with 4.47 speed. Now this guy, he's a pass rush specialist. He has an elite first step, natural instincts, and impressive change of direction. However, he's not that stout. So him setting the edge might be something where we can't use him as a 3-down, defensive end. He might come in as a specialist maybe, or he can get some bulk up on him, but that may limit his speed. So sometimes you don't get too big, you might negate your speed. You don't get too small because you're faster, but you're not as powerful. But James Pearce, I think he'll be gone. He's like slated to be like pick number 14. And I'm sure there's some teams out there who say, hey, we got some big guys that can help you get free, and you can just run after the quarterback, and that would be his job. So, but if he's there, we might take him at 28. I don't think he'll be there. Another option, and the 6th option is someone kind of like James Pearce, less highly touted just because he went to a small school, but defensive end edge from Marshall, Mike Green. He is 6'4", 250 pounds, runs a 4.57. Like Mr. Pearce, he's kind of lighter, and so he's not so much of a edge, like a boundary edge, but he has an explosive first step. Some say reminiscent of Von Miller. He's got a great pass repertoire with spin moves and chops and things like that. He's got violent hands, and he has a wrestling background, so he understands leverage. The problem he lacks the ideal size and length for setting the edge, and so could sometimes lose contain. So for a boundary edge that we need on the other side of Hutchinson, he might not be the thing we need. But if he was there, we might take him, because you have different edge rushers. You have different body styles you can plop in there. As long as you can rotate, as long as they're rotating, you can rotate. You can put your big guy in there. You can put your speed guy in there for if you want a sack. Option number 7. We got Derrick Barnes back. We have Alexander Loney. We have Jack Campbell. However, none of those guys are quite like this next guy. Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. He is a 6'3", 235-pound linebacker with 4.52 speed and is 21 years old. This guy has explosive first step. He has great coverage instincts, and he can even play on the edge. He was an edge rusher for a while when they had a lot of talent, so he can rush the edge as well. So he can be like he plays kind of like a will. He plays like a will, but he plays like a Sam. I mean, he's got both of those traits. So that'd be a nice, once again, a versatile Swiss Army knife type of a player that the Detroit Lions could use, either blitzing or rushing the passer or out in coverage. The cons for him are he can be over aggressive and create vulnerability. When the misdirection. So if he's covering a receiver and he's gonna he's jumping routes, he could get left kind of in the dust. He has good speed, 4.35, so he can recover. But if you're too aggressive on some of those guys, they can do double moves on you, and they can be wide open. Also, for his size, he sometimes has trouble stacking and shedding as he's coming on the line. So that's just par for the course for some of these smaller like will linebackers or smaller defensive ends that have pass rush abilities, but sometimes they run against a big mauler Tyron Smith type of tackle. It's going to be very difficult, or Penei Sewell or Taylor Decker type. Next option, speaking of Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, is Gray Zabel, offensive tackle / guard out of North Dakota State. Gray is 6'6", 312 pounds, and runs a 5.3 40. But the 5.3 40, the 40s don't matter in this guy. They need a 10-second split, which his was adequate. That shows his short area quickness. That's what you need as a lineman or a defensive lineman. Short area quickness. You're not going to run 40. If you got to run 40 yards, you might as well you might as well forget it. I mean, I don't know what kind of play you're running, but I mean, usually the running back or the wide receiver's gone by, then you can stop and jog back or whatever. But Gray Zabel is a 6'6". He's got natural processing, elite processing. He's got processing speed, I should say. Vice grip hand strength. He's got the height. He's got the weight. The problem is his arms are a little short, and so he might have to move into guard just for that reason. Not always. There have been some 32, 31-inch armed tackles, but when you're running against these long, lanky edges, they get their hands on you before you get their hands on them, and that could create a problem. So he may move to guard, and I don't feel that drafting a guard in the first round is necessarily the best thing. I think that guards and centers are usually second and third rounders. I think that safeties are usually second and third rounders. Linebackers, depending on how skilled they are, second rounders, third rounders. Sometimes you'll get safety in the first. Sometimes you get a linebacker in the first. But as I mentioned previously, those are times when you have everything else. Now, do the Lions have just about everything else? Yes. So could they go Gray Zabel in the first round? Yes, because they just need one piece on the line. They need a good right guard. They have Mahogany can play left. Who can play right? There's a couple people who can play on the right, but some are getting older. Do we need another right tackle? Possibly. Or right guard, possibly. We do. But in the first round, I'm not so sure. Nonetheless, if he's there at 28, we might take him. Option number 9, Derrick Harmon. He's from Detroit, Michigan with the Cass Tech. He's a defensive line from Oregon. He is 6'5", 310 pounds, runs a 4.10 4.9, sorry, 4.3. 4.9, 5.40. So he's still fast. He's not 4.3 fast. That's crazy. He'd be number one in the draft if that height ran a 4.3. He's got thunderous hands, natural power, strength. He's got the size. He's got a nasty bull rush. Sometimes his tackling is inconsistent, and sometimes he loses containment because he becomes too aggressive. And we kind of talked about making those big gaps bigger when you're being too aggressive. So that's something that we could work on, and he's definitely got the talent. He's probably going to be too high as well for us, but he is in need with a Lee McNeil being out with a torn Achilles. Those Achilles take a long time to come back, almost a year. So we'll see if that's something that the Lions want to do. But he definitely would be an option. It'd be a homecoming for him, being a Detroit homeboy. So the last option, option 10, Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. He's 6 foot, 193 pounds, runs a 4.39 40. He's 21 years old. Now this guy, we didn't see him that much in the season because he was hurt early with a hip injury. And I think he had hip surgery. I'm not sure, but yeah, hip surgery. But when I look at his name on the chart, on the draft charts, he's always up there. And I'm like, man, this guy must have been really good. So I went back and looked at some film, and he's definitely he processes routes like he's a wide receiver. Like he knows what route people are going to run, and he's had like 6 interceptions, like I think last season. So he's got rare ball skills, elite short area quickness, excellent processing speed. He can play in zone and man-to-man. The problem is if you put him on man-to-man as a boundary corner, he's sometimes a little bit short for that at 6 foot, so he might have trouble getting around those bigger those X receivers or those if they're out there blocking him, he might not be able to disengage. So that's one of the problems. Also, the fact that we didn't see a lot of tape on him from this year may make some stop and wonder, but it looks like with all his measurables and his old film that he looks like he could, if he's there at 29, 28, I don't know if I see the Lions passing on him. Just saying, he probably could go earlier. He could go later, but he's just one of those players that it is a need. We do need a number one corner. We got 2 1.5 right now, or whatever you call them. But we need someone also to grow and learn under those cornerbacks, especially Robertson and DJ Reed. So because they're both about 28 years old. So just a thought. Maybe we could draft a cornerback in the first round. That's why I always tend to want to pick, because that's kind of what I always see in the games where I see him get burned at downfield or something like that. It's like, oh, if we had a better cornerback. But there's a lot of other factors too. We need better pass rush. We need better linebacking. Just not just like we need better guys, but we were hurt, so we might need more starter caliber guys, in the rotation. So with that being said, hey, that's it. That's my spiel. These are 10 picks that I think the Lions could draft in the first round. I just want to let you guys see them and know who they are. So if you see their name called in April, that hey, Detroit Damon spoke about that guy. Yeah, he looks like a good pick. I saw his measurables. I saw some film. He looks really good. So I hope I helped you out, and I hope I can get more people looking at my channel. Peace. Detroit Damon signing out.